very important to understand the role that time has to play in our lives, or the role the idea of time has to play in, us creating the life that we want and being who we want to be, right? And the whole idea of time is it's very important to understand, and it's very important to pay attention to, because simply put, time is just a concept. This is really not real. It doesn't exist. This is a concept, right? And it's a concept that humans unconsciously create or consciously created in order to enhance the experience that we have here in this life, right? And I'm going to break that down. So basically, time is pretty much a concept we created using the ability to imagine and foresee, right? And basically what that means is when we experience something, we remember, our brain recalls our experience, or doesn't really recall the experience, but it remembers the feeling we associated with that experience. So basically what happens is, if we felt joy, so let's say in this experience we went out to an amusement park and we went on some rides, right? And on the rides we experienced joy, we experienced excitement. What's going to happen is our brain is going to remember these emotions, and it's going to link it to that experience we had. The things we saw, the things we heard, the things we felt, is going to link this emotion to that experience. So when this happens, the next time we try to remember, for example, when you go back home from the amusement park, or the next day, after you come back home, you sleep, wake up, the next day, you try to remember what happened yesterday. The idea of remembrance, of course, is a concept of time. And when we try to remember, we use this. We automatically recall the emotion we felt, and because our brain has linked this emotion to the experience we had, the brain automatically lets us picture everything that this emotion was linked to, right? So the feeling of the wind blowing on your face as you were going on the roller coaster, or the food you ate, it just links this emotion to that experience, and that's how we're able to remember what happened. And the reason why it's not actually what happened, but just a scenario our brain created and labeled it as the past, is because you will notice when you try to recall the past, you wouldn't always get each and every detail correct. You wouldn't always get each and every concept or idea or scenery correct. However, the whole point and the whole experience that was linked to the emotion is always remembered. So, what am I trying to drive at? The reason why this is so important is because when it comes to your New Year's resolution, and when it comes to what happened this year and how this year was so weird, awkward, how I have a feeling next year is going to be insane, I have a feeling next year is going to be way better, or I have plans for next year, and I think this is what's going to happen, and this is what I'm going to do. All these thoughts and all these ideas, it's pretty much it's within the constraint of time. But what we don't understand is that time is an illusion. It doesn't exist. The only thing that exists is the present moment. So it's very important to note that time is an illusion, right? And the only thing that exists is the present moment, the now. Now is the only thing that exists. The only way I can remember what I said 5 seconds ago is if I actually dissociate from the present and think like, what did I just think about? Or what did I just do 5 seconds ago? Then I can remember. But that doesn't mean it exists. That experience is coming from my head, it's coming from my brain. That is not actually what is going on. You would never be able to see the future. You would only be able to create it from your present moment. You would never be able to determine what happens in the future or, plan what happens in the future. So, you can plan what happens in the future, but I'm about to get into why I just said that. So, basically, when it comes to your New Year's resolution, when it comes to what you have planned for next year and why, next year we have to be this or do this and achieve this, is because you feel like there's something special about, there's this emotional conviction that has been placed behind the year 2024 and 2025. That difference between December 31st and January 1st, there's this emotional attachment you put to it to where it feels like something has changed, when in reality the only thing that has changed is your state of mind, right? Nothing has really changed. The only thing that chooses when to change is you. And it's just a concept, and it's necessary to understand so that you know that 90% of the people that always say have resolutions or New Year's resolution don't actually end up fulfilling them. And 90% of those people are us. It could be you, it could be me. It's just something that you notice every year we always have a New Year's resolution, and it's like, do we really achieve every single one? At least you would understand that most people don't, and you can't really say that you even remember the resolutions you made at the beginning of the year, right? And the reason is because the only time we have to even understand what we want is now, or to even be what we want is now. You can't magically predict your state of mind in the future, because unfortunately on January 1st, what could happen is your state of mind, you could be in a bad mood, you could feel a certain way, something could discourage you, and all of a sudden that thing you thought about in the past of doing or of being no longer is possible, because your emotions have swayed you to a point where it's making you feel like that thing you want to do isn't possible. What I'm trying to drive at is, if you want to achieve something next year, or if you want to achieve or make a New Year's resolution, the time to shift into that state of being to where you could attract or get what you want is now. It's pretty much, this is the only time, like there is no time. You can only be this now. Why? Because there's no time, there's only frequency. And that's a very important thing to realize, right? This means the difference between the current you and the future you is nothing but frequency. If you're broke now but you're rich next year, the only difference is frequency. There's nothing like, I decided to start doing this. Of course, you took action in order to get what you want, but before you took action, you unconsciously switched to a certain frequency to which you were allowed mentally to take those actions without restrictions, right? The reason why people feel like they can't take action now is because they feel like right now there's something wrong, or in the past, or earlier this year, something happened, or this year was just so bad. I want to wait till next year before, for a fresh start. And let's be fair, when we want to remove the concept of years, right, there's really no difference between December 31st and January 1st. So it's good to understand that the best way, or the only real way that could possibly help you to get what you want next year, is by understanding that you need to get on the frequency or the state of mind to where you already have what you want. And you need to stop being so hard on yourself and treating yourself like you don't deserve something, or you have to do something, or you're obligated to be something when you don't need to. Because there's nothing that's real except frequency. You don't really need to force yourself, because when you force yourself or you feel obligated to be something, you just create resistance, right? So you need to operate at a certain frequency to achieve the goals you want. How would you feel when you achieve the goals you want? Why do you want to achieve those goals? The whys cannot be gotten through achieving those goals. It could only be gotten by being, that thing that you want to experience. You want to experience happy. The only reason you want to be, rich or have money or, achieve this is because you want to feel worthy of some sort. And, in order to actually properly get that, you need to already be in a state of worthiness. You need to already understand that there is no future and the only time is now, and I am worthy at this moment. And you're not obligated to be what you want to achieve. It's not an obligation. The only thing that matters is you, not the reality you want, right? So yeah, that's pretty much the whole idea. I just felt like coming to say that because everyone's going to start talking about New Year's resolution and what they want to achieve, and there's nothing wrong with it. It's just as far as you stop placing the idea of 2025 being something good as to why you want to achieve certain things, you're going to be able to control what you want. Because if 2025 turns out to start off badly for you, the question is, are you going to continue trying to achieve those resolutions just because it's good, or would you be knocked off of your flow because it didn't start off well? It's like when you put the idea that 2025 is a new start, you're pretty much giving power to the idea of time, when time is only an illusion, and it's only reality can only be created from the present. The future can only be created from now. So yeah, I just felt like that was vital to say. I just really feel like when we understand that it's not about the New Year's or the time, it's actually about who we decide to be at each present given moment that determines who we want to be and where our future takes us. Then yeah, that's when we fully have control over our New Year's resolution and achieving what we want to achieve next year. So yeah, that's pretty much what I want to say. Yeah, not much written on the board, but this is pretty much all you really need to understand. This is the major thing you really need to grasp. And yeah, that's pretty much it.